everybody. Some old man. I'm going to be doing a multi-part presentation tonight. First, from the desk, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the grand solar minimum. Now, you might ask, what is the grand solar minimum? If you haven't heard of it before, let me explain. Now, you may or may not have heard that the sun actually keeps the earth warm. It's not global warming. That may have an effect, it may not. That's beside the discussion. It's the sun that warms the earth. And the sun is not totally constant. It has a number of different cycles, but one of the cycles is the 11-year sunspot cycle, where every 11 years the sun goes ahead and has an increasing number of sunspots, and then it diminishes. That's one cycle. There's a longer cycle, actually several, where the number of sunspots and the frequency at the peak is higher or lower. Here's a graph that shows sunspots, historically measured sunspots. They can tell these things based on historical records, because even back in the Middle Ages they were able to go ahead and look at the sun and see the black spots moving across the face of the sun. And there are times where there really were no sunspots for an extended period of time. There was, they call a minimum. There was the modern minimum, which was back in the Middle Ages, or in the Victorian ages, I guess, where they actually didn't have they missed a sunspot cycle or two, where when the sunspots are high, you tend to end up with more sunlight. I know it's kind of counterintuitive, but that's how it works. And when there is no sunspots for an extended period, the earth tends to cool. You may have heard of the summer without, or the year without a summer. And here's one picture, a painting that came from that time of the history. Well, the reason I bring this up is because the last couple of sunspot cycles that we've had have had decreasing peaks. And depending on which group of scientists you talk to, it looks like the one that we're getting ready to go into may be similarly weak. And some are actually predicting that not this one that we're getting ready to start, but the one after that may be completely flat. And if that is the case, we're going to have some cool weather for a year or two or more. So it's not an immediate threat. Although, if we're having changes in solar output, changes in the weather, hey, that describes what we're complaining about when we say, so global warming. Well, you know what? If the sun turns down the thermostat, we're not going to have anything warming. It's going to cool off. As some of the folks in different parts of the country can attest. Late winter, or very late spring, I should say. But it's not all doom and gloom. You can prepare for the changing conditions. Things could get a little cooler. I don't expect to see glaciers coming down the street anytime soon. That's possible, but it's probably not something we're going to see in our lifetimes, even the young folks now today. But it could happen someday. Probably will. But for right now, it's just like things are cooler. Production of crops is going to shift south for the different types of crops. You're not going to be making citrus in Arizona and California, even if they had the water now. That would get shifted further south into Mexico. And California and Arizona might be useful for growing things that were previously grown up in the Midwest, Iowa and Nebraska and such, corn. And then Nebraska and Iowa may be a little cool for corn. They may start growing wheat and things that were further north yet. I don't know. What can we do as preppers? Well, first of all, keep that little bit of a stockpile of food, because if things do change, there will be disruptions in the delivery of food and such and materials. You're seeing it today with all the droughts and such. But it's just something to think about more than anything. I'm not too worried about it right now, but someday it's going to be a concern. Well, let's go ahead and leave off a serious topic. I wanted to go ahead and show you some films of what I'm doing most recently in my current project. Let's bring up a clip. Some old man.
Hello everyone, I'm back at it again. As you can see, I'm out in the garage. I'm actually doing a little bit of painting. This is trim that will be going into into my office upstairs, and I am not going to be putting it in today, but probably in the next week this will go in. Right now we're still a day or two from finishing the flooring. I'll go ahead and do a little bit of filming of that later on today after we get a little further along. It's not going to be finished today, but it will be finished in the next couple days, probably by Sunday, today being Thursday. And then next week we'll be putting this in. I just wanted to go ahead and get it painted a little bit with some good bright paint. It of course came from the store with primer on it, and by itself primer is all well and good, but it's kind of dull. So we want to go ahead and get the bright paint and put that on. And after I finish painting this a couple coats, the next thing on my list is the door, the replacement door for the office. And after that, all the painting of things will be done. I do need to go ahead and get the hardware for the door, hinges and doorknobs and all that kind of stuff, but I think that either I have it or I will have to get new stuff. I'm not sure, because I did supply a lot of that kind of stuff when I was doing the other bedrooms last year or the year before. But right now I'm just painting, a little brush, and I've got to do 2 coats. This is the first coat, and this paint, based on some work I did yesterday, has a 2-hour dry time before you can put another coat on. And since right now it's 11:20, I'll probably finish by 11:40 or so, which means that by 4 o'clock, I'll be out here painting again. And then by tomorrow morning, or sometime, I'll be able to go and just scoop all these things up and carry them upstairs and put them in the room where I need them. Now, painting can be a little bit tedious, but in another way, it's not bad to do. Can't tell what I've painted so far. I can see I've done this third one, but I have not done the second one yet. We'll get there. I have to do a little bit of higgly jiggly on these boards because I don't want to paint on the sawhorses. They get enough paint drippings as it is, but what I'll do is after I finish painting the center parts and the end, I'll just shift them all over about 6 inches and then just catch the little bits that I haven't already done. Basically where the paint can is sitting right now. Over both of the sawhorses. But I just wanted to go ahead and introduce you to a little bit of the things I do. Right now I'm just taking a break from work. I normally would have published another podcast last night or the night before, except for last night we had a production release at work, which means I was working until late. So I was busy up until that point getting ready to do work instead of fun work like my podcast. But I'm back in business now, taking a little time off because I put extra hours in yesterday. So although I'm periodically going up and checking my email, I can take 15 or 20 minutes to come out and throw some paint on and actually make some progress on my home projects. Even though it's a beautiful day outside, I haven't gone ahead and done anything in the garden today. I probably will be doing something just because of the fact that it is beautiful. And I've been noticing that there are at least cucumbers available. I picked one, not yesterday, but the day before. And I noticed there are 2 or 3 more that look like they're ready, so I'll be harvesting some cucumbers today. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll be using them for things like pickles, because they're the large kind of cucumbers rather than the pickling size. Even though I did plant some of those, I haven't seen any yet. But as you can see, I've got 6 boards here, and yesterday I had 4 more that I painted, narrower, and what I'll be doing in the room is I'll put these things along the outside as the base, and then I've got some thinner ones about like so that'll go over the top of these to provide a little bit more depth on it. It wasn't intentional to do that, but I found out that the ones I bought were not quite wide enough to cover the baseboard where I needed to cover, so I decided to do this. Usually I end up going to getting a little 1/4 inch round strip or something at the bottom to make it look real pretty, but since I'm doing this for myself, I'm going to make it look good anyway. As good as I can. And that's pretty much it. So I'll be coming back this afternoon later to put a second coat on and then let it dry overnight. And when I bring it upstairs, I'll just stash it there until I'm actually ready to use it, and then bring up my chop saw upstairs, angle it at 45-degree angles so I can cut off the ends and the correct lengths, and we'll get it into onto the boards where it belongs, on the floor. Make it look good upstairs. But now I think we'll go upstairs here in a little bit, either before or after I finish painting this. I'm not sure, because it's it's a two-person job, and my wife is at work today too. So we'll go ahead and be showing you a little bit of flooring. Some Old Man. And the adventure of Some Old Man continues. I'm back upstairs, and as you can see, we've advanced the flooring a little bit since I started this project out. We can actually do 2 or 3 rows at a time, but then I've got to go cut some sections. I've got one little 13-inch section there that I could finish that next row that's incomplete, but I do need to cut the next section, and of course the one beyond that depends on those. So you can't do the next row until you finish the row before it, and all the way up. Well, you know what? I've got half a row left up there against the wall that I'm going to be cutting my floorboard lengthwise. And tomorrow, when I am up here doing it, I'll be finishing up everything except right there at the door, because I can't really determine ahead of time where that piece that spans the door is going to be. But everything else will be finished in this room, and then that'll be done tomorrow afternoon, and either tomorrow late afternoon or on Sunday we'll move into the closet, and that may take 1 or 2 days, because it's a fairly good sized closet, as you can see. And I'm saving up scrap to get that done as quickly as I can. But this little job is not much longer from this world, and then I'll be moving back out to the garden for the next project out there. That's all I've got for you on this episode, so I'm going to put it all together and let you see and get it out on the board. Some Old Man. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. Hit the like button to let me know. It helps my stats. And if you want to be notified, don't forget to hit the bell icon. And that's all I've got. Some Old Man, signing off.